So you're thinking of creating a course to sell. Maybe it is your very first course or it is your 100th course, and you have this idea for a course, but you're not sure, how do I make it buyable? How do I make it so people would be crazy not to grab my course, right? And so today I'm going to go over the 3 things that you absolutely have to make your course super buyable and totally worth your time. I am Kathy Olson of Funnel Gorgeous and FG Funnels, of course. Today I'm going to talk to you about courses and what makes them really irresistible. And honestly, there is lots of things that help, but there are 3 things that if you do not have those things, you're basically headed for doom and gloom. It might make sense of why, if you were missing one of these things, why your course didn't sell as well as you anticipated. Of course, a lot of things go into getting the right traffic, the amount of traffic to see the offer. Sometimes people, think a course is failing because there just hasn't been enough people to see it. So I'm kind of ignoring that at this point because we have other videos on traffic. I'm assuming here that it isn't like a people problem and that it's actually an offer problem. So let's dive in. Number 1 is a unique USP, or the offer. Like, the offer has to be really good. And so what a USP stands for is unique selling proposition. And so it really is, in marketing speak, is saying that the offer is unique enough to stand out in the industry, and also that the offer is needed. A lot of times, people are offering a similar thing to everyone else. It's really, really hard to market yourself if you are just like everybody else. I mean, think about it. You're splitting attention with so many people who are doing the same thing. But if you can have a unique selling proposition, it's just that one thing that makes you unique. You want to think about what is like the thing that I'm overcoming that most offers don't. So for example, if your offer is getting your website created, usually that takes, I don't know, a month or 2, a couple months, up to 6 months, right? But the unique selling proposition is, what if you could create your website in a weekend? So instead of taking a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, you're gonna get it done in a weekend. And so you're taking something that people are actually kind of frustrated with and that they don't want about the normal offers that are out there, and you're saying, I do that, but I do it in a weekend, right? So think about what is like the thing that they normally are frustrated with, but you fix that problem. So it's like a win-win. It could be you do it in a shorter amount of time, you do it in a smarter way, you do it in a different way. Like, let's say, somebody wanted to lose weight, but they hated working out. You came up with a diet program where you never had to lift a finger and never had to work out, right? So it's something a little bit different than everybody else, and it's kind of like your unique spin on it. A lot of times you can find the USP by digging in to see what people are not liking about the current major offer. And maybe even the solution that people are kind of gravitating to is doing nothing, right? So sometimes you're going up against doing nothing. Like, hey, if you haven't had time, it's okay, you're not too late, if you haven't got started, stuff like that. So sometimes when you're trying to figure out your USP, you want to figure out what people are choosing, or what's the option. Not necessarily what they're choosing, because maybe they didn't choose it, right? But why didn't they choose it? What was well, I wanted to do this, but, I wanted to do this, but I didn't have this, or I didn't know about this, or what were they missing? And then you can kind of provide that missing thing. In any good buyable course, you have to have a USP. You have to have something that is a little bit different from your course to someone else's, and bonus points for it being something that they didn't want to do, or something that was turning them off from all the other courses. Okay, so the second thing that you have to make your course super buyable is the value has to be greater than the price. They have to be feeling like they are getting a steal, and the way that you do that is you build value. So make sure you have a value stack, you show all the things included, you show the value for all those things, and not really like inflated values, the actual values, like what would someone pay to hire somebody one-on-one with this. We have lots of other videos talking about pricing strategies, so I don't want to go too deep into it, but the idea here is, at the end of the day, the course will be more valuable than what they paid, and usually by tenfold. This is not like a set in stone thing, but for the most part, we always try to make the value 10 times worth what they're paying. That is what makes a course valuable to them and actually worth the exchange of money and time and energy and all the things that it takes when they get your course. And the third thing might not be so obvious to you guys, but it is really important when it comes to marketing, and that is that the motivation needs to be greater than the friction. What I mean by that is the motivation to get started, to buy, to start learning, to dive in has to be greater than the friction to not. Right? Let me say that again. The motivation to purchase your course, start your course, whatever it is, has to be greater than the friction that they're gonna deal with in buying that course or starting that course, right? So motivation you really build up on your sales page, and make sure to check out our videos all about sales pages, what's included on them to build this motivation. So I'm not gonna leave you hanging here. We'll explain how to build that motivation later, but I just want you to understand the concept here today is that they have to be so motivated that they have to get over whatever it is that's keeping them from doing it. Sometimes friction is just simply making a change. The sales page has to overcome the friction of changing. Like, so it might be more comfortable for them to stay the way they are or keep doing what they're doing or stay on the system they're using, right? So the motivation to move or change or do something differently than they've already done has to be greater than the friction they're gonna have to deal with in order to make that happen. So really this is kind of a psychological concept, but again, you have to have this in order for them to overcome that friction. So if you have all of these three things in place, if you have a unique selling proposition, if your value is greater than the price and the motivation is greater than the friction, there is literally no reason for them not to buy. This is like the sweet spot. If you can hit all three things in their mind, and again, this isn't selling to everybody, this is selling to who it's meant to be for, right? So if your ideal person can understand all three of these things after reading your sales page, there is literally no reason for them not to purchase. So this is what makes a course buyable. You are overcoming every single objection they would possibly have, and there are no excuses left. They literally just check out. I hope that was helpful for you guys to start to understand the psychology of why sales pages even exist. And if you want to dive deeper into this, make sure you watch our videos. We have videos on pricing, we have videos on what to include on a sales page over at funnelgorgeous.com or fgfunnels.com. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you guys on the next video.